an impact.
Hello, we're here. We're live.
Day 5.
Day 5. How's everybody feeling? Are you guys fired up? We're
Day
fired
5. Day 5 on a Friday.
up. I wanted to say 5. We're live. It's Friday. Woo!
Yeah.
Super excited to be here with everyone today. My name's Cindy Olin. I'm a love and relationship expert. I support women to attract and keep lasting love, deepen intimacy within the relationships they're in, overcome emotional triggers, and open themselves up to feminine love-based communication. So that's me. And this is, go ahead, introduce yourself, Misty. I feel like we do this little song and dance, dog and pony show in the beginning. You guys know who we are. And
back to you. Hi, everyone. I'm Missy Strasner. I help women get to their next level in their life and in their business, supporting them in breaking through their blocks and limiting beliefs and stepping into their power and their confidence to create the impact, to create the wealth and the influence that they desire and the feminine leadership that they desire in their life to have it all. And I'm excited because Cindy talked about how she's masterful in feminine communication. And we're talking about feminine mastery, this 7 days and this experience. And this, to me, is the most important aspect of feminine mastery. So I'm super pumped to be in this conversation today and to teach you about what you need to know in order to master your essence and communication and embodying your feminine leadership. So Cindy, kick it off, girl.
For sure. Well, hello. So my first question to you, write this down. How are others experiencing you? What's it like to be in relationship with you? What's it like to be around you, to experience you? And there may be different, there isn't maybe. Likely there are different aspects of you, right? So how people experience you in the workplace may be a little bit different than your best friend that you go hiking with on the weekends, or how people experience you, how your family experiences you might be even a little bit different, right? So, so that's a question you get to ask yourself. First, write down, how do I think people experience me? How do I think people experience me? And this is leading up to a challenge today. So, and post in the comments, like, how do I think people experience me? Do they experience me as being kind, loving, friendly? Just 3 adjectives. How do people experience you? I want to know, because I'm always curious.
And I want to know you.
And we want to know you, right? We want to get to know you deeper. And we want to see you. So with that said, with that question, are you in responsibility or are you in reaction? So what does responsibility versus reaction look like? Because we could say this, you could be like, well, I think I'm in responsibility. I'm a responsible woman. I pay my bills. I do, I follow through with things. I call people back, right? That is definitely in responsibility, but there's another step to that. Or am I in reaction? Do I get defensive? Am I in victim mode? Am I, if you've heard Missy talk about the 2 islands, right? The victim island, Victory Island. I don't know what you call
And the
it. But there's either one island or the other.
For those of you who haven't heard the victim, I actually love that Cindy talked about you're in the red or you're like in the green, you're in the red or you're in the green. But another way to look at it and think about it is you're in the scarcity island or you're in abundance island. And so over here in scarcity island is like victim and like I'm not good enough and fear is and not worthy. And over here you're like I freaking got this. I'm amazing. Everything's working for me. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Love it. Love it. So, how does that manifest itself in your life? So, I'm going to give you some real world examples. You might be going, well, sometimes I'm over in, Victim Island, and sometimes I'm in Victory Island. And maybe in certain aspects of your life, you feel more confident and you feel like you own it. Maybe at the gym, you just own it. You know what you're doing, you're in your zone, you feel comfortable, you have a community there. Anybody feel me on that? You chat with people, they get to know you. So you might have aspects or arenas in your life where you feel like you're on fire. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. And there might be other areas where you feel that way sometimes, but other times you don't. It's almost like that femininity is like a faucet. Maybe you feel really great in the gym until a handsome guy comes by and he starts talking to you about the equipment or what you're doing, and you start to shut down. You start to go, oh, God, okay, see you later, right? So these are all good things to understand. So I'm going to share about, and I think a lot of time, I don't think, I know a lot of times in life, things happen. You're in a corporate job or you even, have your own business and something gets dumped on you last minute. It's Friday and you get a whole pile of stuff dumped on you and you're responsible. So you like to get things done. There's a meeting about it Monday morning and you are like, so how do you show up in that? Do you go, God, why does this always happen to me? What's going on? Or are you someone that steps in and says, hey, realistically, thank you so much for sharing this with me and trusting me with this. And I have some other things that are ahead of this. So we, the earliest I can have this prepared would be Wednesday. And I'm happy to have a meeting with you then. That's taking responsibility. So I'm talking about your business life. Or are you consistently trying to pretzel yourself so that you can always be the hero? Who does that? I think a lot of women do. Oh, I want to get this done. I want to do this thing. Because also as women, we tend to have people pleasery in the back of us. And a little bit of codependency. I want to be liked. I don't want to tick that person off. They could take it to somebody else. But look, if you're owning your confidence, right? You're owning your confidence and knowing that you're going to be able to execute this at the best, at your very best and optimum by Wednesday of next week. That's awesome. And they get to take it. And if they don't, trust that is a blessing that has happened for you. So there gets to be trust. Trust is a big thing. So I want to talk about communication, being a responsibility in communication, because it's so easy in dating or relationships to create stories about what somebody does. because we easily grab all this evidence. Let me give you some examples. He love you to share.
Let me give you some examples because I just got them.
Let me just share. He leaves when he leaves the toilet paper roll blank and doesn't replace it. He leaves his socks and his underwear on the floor without picking them up, putting them in the hamper. Okay. He leaves dishes in the sink. Whatever. These are things, right? So we can create.
How about this also, just for
Yeah.
emotions? He he is always so defensive. He speaking into the emotional side also, it's like the blame, it's him. He never remembers our anniversary. You know what I mean? He doesn't plan dates. Speaking to clients. They keep calling me in between all of our sessions or they keep rescheduling. My client keeps rescheduling on me. Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Those are all very, very good. Very, very good examples. So I'll speak into something. Men get defensive or are defensive a lot for a reason. Usually it's because of your communication and your energy. Yes. They are defensive because men want to defend their honor. So when we approach them a certain way, and they're used to being approached this way, by the way, they were approached this way from the time they were a child. Their mom said, go do this way, this, and that. Because most mothers didn't know how to context their boys so that they are, they're not having to defend their honor all the time. So when we go into accusing mode, or, hey, you left the toilet paper roll, without replacing the toilet paper, they will automatically defend their honor. Ever notice that? They'll get defensive every single time. So there's a different way to position it. I have a little experience with it. And I'll just share a perfect example from my own life that happened the other day. So, I noticed that that the toilet roll was left blank, and the toilet paper is literally right next under the sink. It's pretty easy to grab, right? So I could go there. I could go, hey, it would feel really nice if you did that. But that's having an attitude. And I trust my guy is really doing the best that he can, and he wasn't necessarily thinking about it. It wasn't top of mind. So I had the opportunity to say, hey, I think this was yesterday. And I sent a message, and this is how it goes, verbatim. Hey, love, I hope you're having an amazing day, amazing morning at work. I love you so much. And, I noticed that the toilet paper roll was left blank. I would feel so cared for if you would grab the toilet paper from under the sink and put it on the roll. So I don't have to do the little waddle when I go to the bathroom. And to grab the toilet paper roll. Um, and if there's none underneath there, I store the toilet paper in the rest of the Costco toilet paper um, in my in the in the closet in my office. Thank you so much. Have an amazing day. So, what did I say there? I simply said, grab a toilet paper, put it on the roll, right? And with love. But I said it from a place of, I start with the positive. I hope you're having an amazing day, you know, or you start with something that you really appreciate about them. I really appreciate every morning how you always make sure and give me a kiss before you leave, even when I'm sleeping. I feel so loved. And then go into that. Now, why did I do that? Well, I'll tell you a couple different reasons because it's something that's happened a lot. And instead of me thinking that he's going to be a mind reader and just do it, if I don't say something in a loving way, he's not going to know. And eventually, what happens with women and men too, but we stuff it, stuff. And then all of a sudden, we're PMSing. He looks at us sideways and we explode because it's about the 4 or 5 things that we've been holding in. And I'm really conscientious of that. And I look at, okay, well, what's the opportunity here? And he goes, oh, yeah, I've had that happen to me too. His response was, oh, I've had that happen to me too. Fair. Okay. I'm going to say it's few and far between on my part, ladies. Are you guys with me? No. But right, it is what it is. Yeah, I know it sucks. It And so what do? I'm understanding. Yes, I know it sucks. And I know that you have the best of intentions, love. I know you do. So that's automatically saying, I believe in you. I trust you. I trust that you're going to do the right thing. Most of the time, women, when we're communicating from a place of, I'm right, you're wrong, and they feel it. So instead, you've got to get yourself into the energy of, I know he's doing it the best he can. He's doing the right thing. And maybe he just doesn't notice it. Men are single focused, so they can pull the last of the roll off, and some men are just not that conscientious. Other men, super like they're gonna do that. That's a value to them, right? But if you don't communicate that that's important to you in a loving way, so here's what the ripple effect of that was. My guy being home, conscientious of picking his stuff up off the floor, making sure things look tidy. Why? Because he knows I love that. It's an aphrodisiac for me. It feels good. I love it when my space is clean, right? But how does he know that? Because I've communicated that in a really loving way. And he sees it. So the point being is when you're communicating, you assume that that person really wants to do the right thing, meaning you hold them really high. You hold them in high regard. You respect them and you trust them. And that is a foundational space of really good relationship. This communication always works from that standpoint. And I put so much love, energy into that text, and I felt it, and I knew he did too, because I saw the ripple effect of it all night long. I'm going to take care of this. I'll get this. He cleaned up the dishes after dinner, made sure this and that. It was great. I felt so cared for. And I said it, affirming, affirming. It's so, so important, you guys. So communicating from that space. And I think, a lot of times what comes up for women is they say, why should I always have to be the one to do this? Well, that's the ego. You are, you get to take responsibility for being the communication leader instead of waiting for them.
And what you desire.
Yes.
You get to be responsible for what you desire.
Yes. And as the female, as the feminine, you are the communication leader. Even if this came through for me, even if there's a same sex relationship, there's one of you that's the masculine, one of you that's the feminine. If you're the feminine, you are the communication leader. Now, if you're in a same-sex relationship and you desire to do that and you play more of the masculine role, that's okay too. Wow, that's just icing on the cake, fireworks, firecrackers, right? But the more you do that, it's called contexting. You build the polarity between you. You build the attraction. But the more you shut down, and this takes practice, guys, it's not an overnight thing. And it's part of this work is stepping forward and, sharing and doing it when you're scared and it not being perfect. Not ever about perfection. But this piece is so key in really creating intimacy, connection. And a lot of times when our ego is in the way, or we want a man to see that he's doing something that really bothers us, and maybe he has a blind spot, you get to stay in your own lane. And you can share, I'm experiencing XYZ and I'm feeling like this. Is that something you meant to do? Right? So you're not making them wrong. No one likes to be made wrong. What if somebody came to you and said, hey, you are acting not considerate when I'm sick, or you are, you didn't replace the toilet roll and you do this all the time. So you feel like somebody's actually following you around and basically taking inventory of all the things that you're not doing right. How does that feel? It feels like shit. Nobody wants to hear that. And our brain, especially if we've been hurt, can go into protective mode, which is criticism. Oh, he's doing that. He must not really care about me. We make it mean things instead of going, wait a second, this toilet paper roll, that's silly, or whatever it is, right? Like certain things that don't come natural to them, it can take a while. And a lot of times we think, oh, if I say it once, it's going to create permanent change. Not necessarily. Think of how many times you've had to repeat something so it becomes integrated.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you, I used to have a lot of head knowledge on how to do things with men and, understanding them and communication. But I would then date and end up going to an old, like a way of being where I would then start to give, or go into performance mode because that was a habit and a pattern of mine. So I had to focus on breaking the habit and the pattern of mine and do transformational work and go deep and um, and get it embodied within me. So that is the key. So part of what we're speaking into today is being intentional. And the keys to that is trusting yourself, trusting others, holding other people high, assuming the best rather than the other side. And then, Missy, I know you were going to speak into the responsibility of what that looks like too.
I love everything that you said, and I took notes because I'm experiencing this. A couple things that came through for me. I'm experiencing this. Was that what you meant? Holding your partner, the person that you're dating, your clients, your mother, the relationships around you high. Meaning, I know we love each other. I know we respect each other. I know we honor each other. We cherish each other. So I'm going to be in a relationship with how I make things mean, as if you never that you always want to love me and care about me and nurture me and honor me and cherish me. Everything that I'm holding you to the regard that I am making our relationship mean. So if the toilet paper is off the toilet, I'm already in this, like you talked about, the context of our relationship is you can handle that because you care about me and you love me. And I want to have a relationship where I can share with you and communicate with you because we both understand that we love and respect and honor. But in order for you to create that relationship, you get to be those things, and start with that. I love that you talked about um, um, just like uh, taking time and getting grounded and sharing love into the communication, and that you have taught me to think about love-based communication. And I go and beat up. I'm like, let me give myself a grace card this morning. Let me give, like, how can I give myself a grace card? I just kind of made that up, but it makes sense. And how can I give them a grace card in our communication a grace card right now? Because like Cindy said, it does take practice and it's messy. Like anything that we're teaching this week, it is messy while you're learning. And this is why, like,
And
we're developing.
yeah, and it's messy sometimes. Sometimes you flip your lid, guys, and that's okay. So sometimes it doesn't mean that you have to be absolutely perfect and you can't lose it once in a while. That's not what we're saying. But if most of the time, if 80 to 90% of the time you're in that higher frequency and you're operating from that space, and then the 20 or even 10, 90-10, get snappy or do something. Here's the deal. Great. You do that, you lose it. People listen. I don't get that way very often, but when I do, my child listens. Like I think about like when he's like, oh, she means business.
Mhm.
So even if even your partner, they will listen, they will take you seriously. Now, if you said something that you don't feel good about, then you can clean it up. later you can go back and say, hey, I allowed my emotions to get the best of me. I love you so much. And I am, I, I apologize. I said XYZ. What I really meant to say was X. You can always go back and clean it up. And I feel like we don't think that oftentimes. It's like we can always go back and set a boundary too. Okay.
Mhm.
Keep, keep on.
Um, yeah, so I would say like that's being responsible, that's being responsible,
Absolutely.
and loving communication is coming back to that, is owning it, giving yourself a grace card, giving your relationship a grace card, giving the person, honoring that the person intends to be trusting and loving and respectful. And there was a breakdown, and you can clean it up, and also take ownership of, hey, I'm going to be intentional about this moving forward. And it's not, it might be messy sometimes and perfect, but my vision is for us to be able to communicate, and for me to own. I love that you talk about that we women are the communication leaders in a relationship and in general. And I think owning that responsibility is something really, like, even knowing it and then owning it comes with practice, because there are, we've had so much time in our lives of also leading with ego and developing these patterns and developing this, like, I mean, like, one of Tim's daughters, like, triggers me with this, like, needing to be right, because I have that in me too. Oh yeah, like, and I just, like, sit there and I just, I'm responsible for my emotions, because I'm, like, coaching myself, like, so much to just come down from, like, the defensive, the defensive, more masculine ego perspective of don't f with me, right?
Mhm.
And
Who are you to say that? You're
yeah, you're
13
like
years old, right?
12. You
Yeah.
have no idea, right? And I just get reactive. So, like, and then I get to, like, coach myself into being responsible with my emotions and how I'm showing up in the way that I'm receiving that those words, and own it. But and it's like, it's just a good reminder. And I think that that's why you're so masterful with the practice of it. And sometimes we don't know our blind spots. We go through it, and it's like, if we don't replay it and look at where was the breakdown, or where can we shift it, or how is that showing up in other areas, like, sometimes we don't know our blind spot, but it's then a habit, and it's constantly the feedback that we're getting, and we don't know how. It's like, I hear women say, I don't know why this keeps happening to me, and so it's going to come back, and this is like, it's going to come back to your way of being and your communication, and it's going to come back to your way of being and what you're making it mean every single time, and then making it mean something that's the opposite of what you've shared that you want in your life, with your partner, or with your clients, of love, respect, honor. And all of a sudden you've made it mean, like, oh, like, you've gotten unattached or unconscious of what the context of your relationship already is. And now you're making up things, and it's taking you further and further away. And so I love that you talk about our ownership of being the feminine leaders and being the leaders in our relationships when it comes to communication, because communication, how we communicate to ourselves and how we communicate to others, is the happiness and joy in our lives. We're either making it powerful and beautiful, or we're making it wrong. I was literally just having this conversation after listening to a Tony Robbins point yesterday, because he talks about, I'll come back to the being, doing, and having in 1 second, but he talks about um, them, like, we make meaning off of something that happens. So the toilet paper situation happens, and Cindy can make it mean that he, like, doesn't care about her anymore, or that he,
Or I could make it mean that he's just a selfish guy.
yeah,
And,
he doesn't care, he
and
doesn't listen, he doesn't,
then I'll start to gather more evidence.
yeah,
He's selfish. Men are, then we can go on a blanket statement. Men are selfish. They just don't really care about
yeah.
us. But that is not true. It's not true. So it's, if we give someone the opportunity to rise up and show up in that way. And even if we're, just shining the spotlight, all I did was just shine the spotlight. Oh, hey, babe, would you, it would feel really good. I would feel so cared for. Then I wouldn't have to do the little waddle where I'm dripping all over, and I make it vivid, because they get it.
Yeah.
So that is just such a key point to understanding and trusting they're going to do the right thing. And there's certain things I knew in the back of my mind. I don't think he knew where I stored the extra toilet paper. And I thought, oh, I should tell him, because then he has the opportunity to go get it if we happen to run out underneath the sinks, right? And so
so, so she could make it mean all of that, or she could make it mean a positive thing. Like it's so if you're thinking that and it's creating a result that's negative, this is what my breakthrough yesterday was. If like going back and stepping it back to, if I feel irritated or energy that's not loving and positive about a situation, it's going back to like like let me unravel where it started. I made it come from a scarce thought, a not good enough, a he doesn't, like a victimy thought versus a responsible thought of coming from love. Like, oh my God, he loves me so much. He probably was thinking about writing me poetry instead of the toilet paper. He was probably thinking about the next, you know what I
he
mean? If I
does,
chose to make it mean that,
he does write really amazing love notes, you
no, so but
guys.
the point is he like, if I chose to make it mean that he was in something that's positive, I would have a different relationship with him, every single time. So, it comes back to being responsible for what we're making things mean and how we're being about it. Because if I'm being loving, this
Sure.
goes into I'm going to be loving about it. I'm going to be like, I'm choosing to live on Abundance Island where I trust the relationship. I'm respectful of him. I know he doesn't want to hurt me. I know if I like tee him up to win, if I set him up to win, meaning I communicate everything that I want, he's going to come in and like swing and hit a home run every single time. And I get to be a conduit and like I get to be like like I get to be in my feminine grace and power and honor, to pass him the opportunity to blow it out of the park, in a way that he feels empowered and excited and like I got this energy, right? But I'm giving him like, let me set you up to win. Here's where the toilet paper is. Here's how it makes me feel. Here's what I get excited about. Here's what I'm excited not to waddle all over the place. Like and here, I believe that if I set you up to it, you will handle it and you will like take it to the house and blow like and leave like it just come bring me other magical desires like cleaning up after other things. You know what I mean? Like you talked about the ripple effect. So bringing this back to but this the other part that I wanted to talk about is your way of being is everything. So are you being this way? If you're being joy, you're going to receive more joy as the law of attraction. But if you're being more loving, he's going to be more loving, or your client's going to be more loving, or you're going to have more opportunities and people are going to see you. But it's all on you to be that first, not to wait until he does something or wait until you get the client to be happy. So it's like we until you're trained on this to know to start with and being intentional and like taking your ownership and responsibility of who you're being to create what you want until you understand that, then you're going to be like kind of all over the place and have this kind of like kitchen sink of relationships because you're not in ownership and you're pointing fingers and you're being victimy sometimes and you're being inconsistent. So the practice is to be loving, do loving things, and you'll have a loving result versus I'm going to um, I'm going to I'm going to wait until he fixes the toilet paper and then I'm going to send him something loving and then I'm going to be happy. You know what I mean? Or then, or it's the, prove it to me energy of once that happens, once that outcome happens, then I'll do the thing or then I'll be happy and then I'll go write him a nice text to thank him. It's like when we change the game and are responsible for our way of being as the foundation of everything in our life with our growing our wealth, growing our impact, growing our influence, growing our relationship with a partner, putting ourselves out there once we're in responsibility of going back to how do I think people experience me? How do I think I experience me? And then like cleaning it up. And, we talked about this yesterday of getting support to point out your blind spots, that you get to like actually invest in yourself and what you want in your life, that it doesn't just happen because you want it. You actually get to show up for it and be vulnerable and get support to point those things out. And so, yeah, it's like if you want to receive more, if you're like, oh, I want more, fill in the blank, then show up being that. Period. Just show up being that. And I'd be curious, if you want to share in the comments, what we're sharing with you? What is that? What are you making that mean? Like, what does that mean to you? Yeah,
Great
to
call.
me. You
So
want to, you want
here's,
to keep it going?
yeah. So here's your challenge today is talk to 3 people in 3 different aspects of your life, right? Maybe one person you work with or experiences you in business, or one person you have a great friendship with, and maybe one person, maybe a family member, or if you can't figure out the family member part, then uh, maybe an older friend and a newer friend. If you have a friend that you've had for eons and eons, and then a friend that maybe you've had for the last few years, see if there's differences on how they experience you. And it's just feedback. And you want to make sure that these people, of course, caveat, that they're that and trust they're going to be honest with you, that they're going to love you enough to be honest and just say, hey, I really want honest feedback, and I would love to hear, because 1, we want to get to know you, and 2, this is going to help you in emotional mastery is the key to raising that vibrational state and raising that your abundance in love and money, um, and getting intimate with it. We'll talk more about that later. And um, so that's the challenge we have for you today. Also, to if you guys are like, God, I want to know the steps to get deeper with that. Great. Well, we do teach this. Emotional mastery is such a key point. It's been a um, it's been a game changer in my life to become masterful and understand my emotions, understand myself, and to become a better leader within that space of supporting women and men too, to create what it is they desire. If you're looking for a healthy relationship with a high value man, I guarantee you he's done work on emotional mastery himself. Because if you desire it, he desires it. And here's what's beautiful. When you start to embody this, you become a match for that. You naturally attract that like a magnet in your life. Our mind, our hearts are like magnets, and we attract those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So, and immerse, we go deeper into this. We give you the 3 key steps. We give you the experiential work to do and to continue to do and practice, so that you're in this place of mastery and you've had a breakthrough in that 6 weeks. Immerse is our next step. And because we're launching it in the beginning of 2022, it's $2,200. So, two. I don't know. But, that is what it is. And if you're ready for the next step, just post in the comments, yes, next step, I'm ready. And we'll connect with you and chat with you about what your vision is and how we can support you in stepping in and really creating that next step. So here's to you. Congratulations for being here, doing the work, listening to us, and setting yourself up to win and opening your heart to receive feminine mastery. Thanks again, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.